I would love to cook, you know, I would love to cook my food. I just don't have the time. In this statement, we're gonna break this statement down real quick, and there's two key errors that are happening in this statement that will literally keep this person stuck for their entire life, right? You don't say this and then magically transform into a person who cooks their food and makes their health a priority. So it's important to kind of look at what those errors are and how to correct them. Uh, Number one, there's some assumptions here. A, there's an assumption that you even need to cook. If our outcome that we're looking to accomplish is to lose body fat, okay, you have to break things down piece by piece. You can't change the whole thing all at once because you'll drive yourself crazy. Plus, you're just not going to be successful. Like, I mean, we have more information and tools and programs available than ever, right? And yet, more than 70% of our population is overweight and obese, right? Or obese. And so, you know, you're making this assumption that in order to lose fat, you have to cook. That's incorrect. And there's a couple of reasons that this assumption is going to hurt you. Number one is if you think that you have to cook in order to lose weight, every time that you run into a situation where you don't cook or you can't cook, right? You're going to fail, and you will experience bad feelings that don't feel good. And now here's the thing. How you feel will determine what you do, okay? If you feel like a failure and you're feeling bad about yourself, you're feeling frustrated, you're going to be less likely to do anything else that will move you closer to losing the fat, right? Um, so you got to think about that. Like, you don't do stuff when you feel bad, you know? Like, there's got to be this awareness around how am I feeling, because you can say whatever you want, just observe your own life, think about all the times that you have felt bad and what did you do, right? There's a lot of people literally dying of diabetes, getting, you know, serious surgeries and medical procedures and taking medications, and they're not changing, right? They feel pretty bad. So this thing about, oh, well, once you feel bad enough, you'll change. Maybe, yeah, maybe. But just look at your own self and look at people around you, and you can make your own judgment call, right? Second, second part of that is like, there's so many situations every single day that you're gonna run into where it might not be possible to cook, right? It might be impractical. So what? If you can't cook, now what? You throw in the towel every time? And guess what? There's like 4 or 5 opportunities every day for you to throw in the towel, right? So then are you destined to be weak and soft and overweight forever? I mean, people sometimes feel like that, but the answer is no, and we'll get into like how to not have that happen, okay? But here's the second part of this. If you say you don't have time, you won't have time. The time has been misallocated, okay? There is time. There's always time and there's always money. It's just that we have misallocated it to places that don't, or to things that don't move us closer to what we want. And that's a problem, right? Another thing for this is called the Pygmalion effect. You could Google it, right? It's the self-fulfilling prophecy. What you say and what you think, and then the feelings that come out of it dictate your reality, right? A belief is, in the words of Abraham Hicks, is just a thought that we keep thinking. So if your belief is, if the thought you keep thinking is, man, I don't have time, man, this is so hard, man, I can't do this, I can't cook, I don't have time to cook, what do you think is going to come out of that? You cannot, and there's no judgment here, right? You cannot judge, because if you judge, you will feel bad, and if you feel bad, you will continue in that same direction. That's the tough part. And that's really one of the big places where a community comes in handy, or um, having a coach or a mentor comes in handy, because you can forget about those feelings long enough to feel good and get the ball rolling. That's really, like, in its simplest form, like, the big key. Um, so we want to be aware of that, right? So now, how do we go about fixing these things? Is number one, understand that your statement of, I just, I just don't have time to cook, I need to find time to cook, that that statement is creating, that is your current belief, and it's creating your reality, right? So the big thing to really think about is, number one, there's two things. Number one is, you got to work on your ability to adapt. That's the one. That's the first one. Like, you don't have to cook. Can you adapt and still make progress? Because the reason that I continue to make progress year after year after year, after almost a decade of failure, and then now more than a decade of success, is because I am the best. My biggest skill is my ability to adapt, my ability to find a way to feel good and then adapt. Because every day we run into things that could prevent you from following whatever plan you have decided upon, right? The best plan in the world, but then it meets up with reality and it breaks. And if you don't know how to adjust from that breakage and that contact with reality, you lose. Meanwhile, I might have a little bit of a shittier plan, but if we were in a video game and my adaptability score rating, right? If we could see that, mine would be 99. Most people's is like 5. They're unable to adapt. For the second error, right? Misallocation of time, it's, we gotta figure out, like, we don't need to create more time. We gotta find, where am I using my time now? Which things are not closing the gap between what I say I want and where I'm at, and then reallocate. Take that time and move it towards the things that close the gap. And that's only if you even want to, because people make a big deal about, like, oh, we gotta change the world, we gotta do this. No, you don't. Like, this is a personal decision. There is nothing wrong with a person for being overweight. I wouldn't want to be overweight. There's nothing wrong with my preference of never being overweight. I've been there. I've been 40 pounds overweight. I didn't like it. I'll tell you what, I'm never going back. I've also been skinny fat for a majority of my life. I don't like it. It's never going to happen again. That's a preference. So I got to find the things that I'm doing that close that gap. Find the things that are actually widening the gap. Take my time and resources from those things and allocate them towards things that close the gap. Right? That's how you fix this. Now, this is what the nutrition protocol in the strength method is all about. Like, I just put it all out there. Like, you can go find it all on my page, and I'm going to continue talking about it. I'll probably be doing workshops and, like, just keep sharing this information, especially on my YouTube. But you can take yourself systematically, step by step, from being stuck for however long you've been stuck, it doesn't even matter. You could manifest a different person immediately. If you follow this step by step, right? And learn to become that resilient person. That's the person you're not going to, whoever you are now is not going to be the person who is going to be shredded or ripped or healthy or lean, who cooks, who knows how to adapt. It has to be a different person, right? But if you follow the steps, you can become that person, okay? And you'll start to build the resiliency, and you'll start to allocate your time and your energy and money in ways that only close the gap. It's how I went from 10 years of failure to, of skinny fatness to 12 years of being ripped, and having gone through every conceivable circumstance, right? People say, I don't have time, I'm busy. Like, okay, well, I've managed 8 liquor stores by myself. When like, I didn't have any help. My brothers were much younger. I'm running around doing all this stuff. I'm in my early 20s at that time, mid 20s. I opened my own separate business. I managed real estate. I've been acting for 12 years. Like, I'm busy. I've been with my wife, at that time my girlfriend, since I was in high school. I love to spend time with her. We've done a lot of things. We've gone a lot. I've been through it. I've been extremely sad and not feeling good. Right? What's the difference? Other people go through similar things. It's not to compare. It's not to compare. It's to find out. Well, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, you know what? I want to reach that point. I want to become the leanest me, strong. Like, I prefer to be ripped. I don't prefer to be soft and weak. It's just not my preference. Then what is the thing that's causing that? And that's one of the big things, is your ability to adapt to each circumstance versus depending on the program and then not knowing what to do when the program breaks. Right? And so if you go back and you look at the nutrition protocol, there's 3 phases. One is you learn, and so this is how you do it. Now, this is the practical steps, right? Learn the foundation, learn the basics, cook your own food, use single ingredient foods so you can learn the ABCs, right? Packaged foods that are easy to track. Then phase 2 is we start to take the training wheels off. We can go out, but we go out to places that have calorie numbers. They're controlled. They're accurate, right? As accurate as those things can be. And then if you spend enough time mastering phase 1 and phase 2, especially phase 1, you will get to phase 3, which is doing the fancy stuff and bulletproofing your progress. Fancy stuff in the nutrition protocol, basically refers to, I can go anywhere and eat anything at any time and I'm going to stay ripped for the rest of my life. I will never not be ripped. I have mastered phase 1. I live in phase 1 for a long time. So I know what to do in phase 3. I can go to grandma's house, eat whatever I want. Right? That's how you bulletproof your progress. So, anyways, that's kind of the thing. How to address this idea of I just don't have time to cook, and thinking that you have to cook, right? Uh, you don't need a program. You don't need new diets. You don't need new training exercises. What you need is better ways of thinking. That's what the strength method is about. The strength that I refer to is your mental strength, your emotional strength, your spiritual strength. It just so happens that we can use physical strength to really set off the dominoes for all these things. And then really, like, that's what manifests. Like, there's no option for that not to manifest. But strength is the key. Like the highest principle that we aspire to, that I aspire to, and anybody I work with aspires to, is strength of all kinds, because it lets you live a strong life. It lets you engage with life at a very high level, and that's what's going to be more fun. If you can't engage with life because you're weak in different areas, financially, maybe physically, maybe emotionally, you're going to break and it's not going to be fun. I'll tell you what, basketball today is way more fun than basketball when I played in high school and college, because at that time I was weak. It wasn't as fun. Nowadays, oh man, I can't wait. I'm looking for people who are stronger and better, because I want to. It's more fun. It's more engaging. So I'll leave it at that. I'll say, if anything that stuck out to you and resonated with you, go on Instagram, follow me at Ranbir.Sanghera. Shoot me a message. Let me know that, yeah, man, that's dope. I like that. Leave me or tag me in something that resonated with you, or just tell me. Let me know. Um, the Strength Method 40 is also coming up. It's on March 18th. It's a 40-day program where we systematically uninstall the garbage in your brain and install the Strength Method principles, which is, it's not even my principles. Like, this is the principles of life, principles of the of physiology, and just better thinking, more effective thinking, so that you get whatever you want. If you're interested in that, find me on Instagram, shoot me a message. We'll talk. I'm excited, and we'll make gains. I'll see you later.